and welcome back to part 2 of this week's Bible study for Waymaker Messianic Jewish and Christian Center USA. We are reading through the Messianic Jewish Family Bible, Tree of Life version, TLV, and this week we are completing First Chronicles, doing Chronicles chapter 21 to 29, and we're going to continue on with chapter 26. Gatekeepers and treasurers. The divisions of the gatekeepers of the Korahites: Meshelemiah, son of Kor, of the sons of Asaph. Meshelemiah had sons: Zechariah the firstborn, Jediel the second, Zebediah the third, Jethniel the fourth, Elam the fifth, Jehohanan the sixth, Eliehoenai the seventh. Obed-Edom had sons: Shemaiah the firstborn, Jehozabad the second, Joah the third, Sakar the fourth, Nathaniel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, and Pulathai the eighth. For God had blessed him. To his son Shimei were born sons, who were leaders of their clans, for they were men of great ability. The sons of Shimei: Othni, Raphael, Obed, and Elzabad. His brothers Elihu and Semachiah were also valiant men. All these were descendants of Obed-Edom. They and their sons and their kinsmen were capable men with the strength to do the work. 62 of Obed-Edom. Meshelemiah had sons and brothers, 18 able men. Also Hosea, a descendant of Merari, had sons: Shimri the first, although he was not the firstborn, his father made him the first; Hilkiah the second, Tebaliah the third, and Zechariah the fourth. All the sons and brothers of Hosea were 13. These divisions of the gatekeepers by their chief men had duties corresponding to their kinsmen for Abidah to the house in the house of Adonai. So they cast lots, small and great alike, by clans for each gate. The lot for the east gate fell to Shelemiah. Then they cast lots for Zechariah his son, an insightful counselor, and his lot came out for the north gate, to Obed-Edom the south gate, and to his sons the storehouse, to Shuppim and Hosea the east gate by the Shalaketh gate on the ascending highway, guard corresponding to guard. There were 6 Levites on the east, 4 a day on the north, 4 a day on the south, and at the storehouse by pairs. At the colonnade on the west there were 4 on the road and 2 at the colonnade itself. These were the divisions of the gatekeepers of the sons of Korah and the sons of Merari. And the Levites: Ahijah was over the treasuries of the house of God, and the treasuries of the dedicated things. The descendants of Ladan, who were sons of Gershon, through Ladan, and were chiefs to the clans of Ladan the Gershonite, were Jehieli. The sons of Jehieli: Zetham and Joel his brother. They were over the treasuries of the house of Adonai. Of the Amramites, the Isharites, the Hebronites, the Uzzielites: Shebuel son of Gershom, son of Moses, was the officer over the treasuries. His relatives, through Eleazar: Rehabiah his son, Jeshai his son, Joram his son, Zikri his son, and Shelomith his son. This Shelomith and his kinsmen were over all the treasuries of the dedicated things that King David and the chiefs of the clans and the commanders over thousands and hundreds and other army commanders had dedicated. They dedicated some of the plunder taken in battles to maintain the house of Adonai. All that Samuel the seer, Saul son of Kish, Abner son of Ner, and Joab son of Zeruiah had dedicated, and any other dedicated thing, was in the care of Shelomith and his relatives. Of the Isharites, Hananiah and his sons were assigned outside duties as officers and judges over Israel. Of the Hebronites, Hashabiah and his brothers, 1,700 capable men had oversight of Israel west of the Jordan for all that work for all the work of Adonai and for the king's service. As for the Hebronites, Jerijah was the chief of the Hebronites according to the genealogical records of their families. In the 40th year of David's reign, a search was made and found in them were valiant men. In Jazer of Gilead, his relatives, 2,700 men of valor, were heads of clans whom King David had appointed over the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of the Manasseh in every matter pertaining to God and the affairs of the king. Chapter 27 David's officers. The number of Bani Israel, heads of clans, officers of thousands and hundreds, and their officers who served the king in all matters of the divisions that came in and went out month by month throughout the year. Each division had 24,000. Over the first division for the first month was Jeshobeam, son of Jabdiel. His division had 24,000. He was a descendant of Perez, the head of all the officers of the army for the first month. Over the division the second month was Dodiah the Ahohite. Mikloth was the chief officer, and his division consisted of 24,000. The third army commander for the third month was Benaiah, son of Jehoiada the Kohen. He was leader of his division, which consisted of 24,000. This was Benaiah, who was a mighty man of the 30 and had charge over the 30. Ammizabad, his son, was over his division. The fourth commander for the fourth month was Asahel, brother of Joab. Zebediah, his son, succeeded him. His division consisted of 24,000. The fifth commander for the fifth month was Shamhuth, the Izrahite. His division consisted of 24,000. The sixth commander for the sixth month was Ira, the son of Ikash, the Tekoite. His division consisted, of 24,000. The seventh commander for the seventh month was Heites, the Pelonite from the children of Ephraim. His division consisted of 24,000. The eighth commander for the eighth month was Sibkai, the Hushathite from, from the Zerahites. His division consisted of 24,000. The ninth commander for the ninth month was Ebiezer, the Anathothite of the Benjamites. His division consisted of 24,000. The 10th commander for the 10th month was Maharai, the Netophathite of the Jerahites. The division consisted of 24,000. The 11th commander for the 11th month was Benaiah the Pirathonite, a descendant of Ephraim. His division consisted of 24,000. And the 12th commander for the 12th month was Heldai the Netophathite of Othniel. His division consisted of 24,000. Furthermore, over the tribes of Israel of the Reubenites, Eleazar son of Zikri was the chief officer. Of the Simeonites, Shephatiah son of Makkah. Of Levi, Hashabiah son of Kemuel. Of Aaron, Zadok. Of Judah, Elihu, one of David's brothers. Of Issachar, Omri son of Michael. Of Zebulun, Ishmaiah, son of Obadiah. Of Naphtali, Jeremiah, son of Azriel. Of the children of Ephraim, Hoshea, son of Azaziah. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joel, son of Pedaiah. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh in Gilead, Iddo, son of Zechariah. Of Benjamin, Jasiel, son of Abner. Of Dan, Azarel, son of Jeroham. These were the officers of the tribes of Israel. But David did not count those 20 years old and under, because Adonai had said he would multiply Israel as the stars of heaven. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, began to count them, but did not finish. Wrath came upon Israel for this, and the number was not entered into the account in the Chronicles of King David. Over the king's storehouses, Asmaveth, son of Adiel. Over the storehouses in the fields, in the cities, in the villages, and in the citadels, Jonathan, son of Uzziah. Over the field laborers for tilling the ground, Ez Ezri, the son of Chelub. Over the vineyards, Shimei, the Ramathite. Over the produce of the vineyards for the wine cellars, Zabdi, the Shifmite. Over the olive trees and the sycamore trees in the lowland, Baal-Hanan, the Gederite. Over the cellars of oil, Joash. Over the cattle grazing in Sharon, Shurtile, Shurtile, the Sharonite. Over the cattle grazing in the valleys, Shaphat, son of Adlai. Over the camels, Obil, the Ishmaelite. Over the donkeys, Jediah, the Marianathite. Over the flocks, Jaziz, the Hagrite. All these were stewards over the property of King David. Also Jonathan, David's uncle, was a counselor, learned man, and scribe. Jehiel, son of Hakmoni, tutored the king's son. Ahithophel was the king's counselor. Hushai the Archite was the king's friend. Ahithophel was succeeded by Jehoiada, son of Benaiah, and by Abiathar. Joab was the commander of the king's army. Chapter 28 Men and Materials. Now David assembled all the leaders of Israel in Jerusalem, the tribal officers, the commanders of the divisions that served the king, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, and the stewards over all the property and livestock of the king and of his sons, along with the high officials, the mighty warriors, and all the men of valor. Then King David rose to his feet and said, Listen to me, my brothers and my people. As for me, it was in my heart to build a resting place for the ark of the covenant of Adonai, and for the footstool of our God. So I made the preparations for the building. But God said to me, You will not build a house for my name, because you are a man of war and have shed blood. Yet Adonai, the God of Israel, has chosen me out of all my ancestral house to be king over Israel forever. For he chose Judah as ruler, and of the house of Judah, my father's house, and of my father's sons. He took pleasure in me to make me king over all Israel. Moreover, of all my sons, for Adonai has given me many sons, he has chosen Solomon, my son, to sit on the throne of the kingdom of Adonai over Israel. He said to me, Solomon your son will build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be a son to me, and I will be a father to him. I will establish his kingdom forever, if he resolutely observes my mitzvot and my ordinances as at this day. Now therefore, in the sight of all Israel and the congregation of Adonai, and in the hearing of our God, observe and seek all the mitzvot of Adonai your God, so that you may possess this good land and may bequeath it to your children after you forever. Now you, Solomon, my son, know the God of your father, and serve him with a whole heart and with a willing mind, for Adonai searches all hearts and understands every intent of the thoughts. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will reject you forever. Consider now, for Adonai has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary, Chazak, and do it. Then David gave Solomon his son the pattern of the porch, its houses, its storerooms, its upper rooms, its inner rooms, and the place of atonement, and the plan of all that he had by the Ruach for the courts of the house of Adonai, and all the surrounding rooms for the storehouses of the house of God, and for the treasuries of the dedicated things, also for the divisions of the Kohanim and the Levites, for all the tasks of the Avodah of the house of Adonai, and for all the vessels of Avodah in the house of Adonai, for gold, the weight of gold for all vessels of every kind of Avodah, and silver, the weight of silver for all vessels for every kind of Avodah, and the weight for the gold menorah and the weight for the gold menorot and their gold lamps, including the weight of each menorah and its lamps, for the silver menorot, including the weight of each menorah and its lamps according to the use of each menorah. Also the weight of gold for the table of the rows of bread for every table, and silver for the silver tables, and the forks, the basins, and the pitchers of pure gold, and for the golden bowls with a weight for every bowl, and for the silver bowls with a weight for every bowl, and for the altar of incense with a weight of refined gold, and gold for the form of the chariot, the cherubim that spread out their wings, covering the ark of the covenant of Adonai. All this I put in writing is from the hand of Adonai upon me, as he gave me insight regarding the plan of all the works. Also David said to his son Solomon, Chizak, and be courageous and do it. Do not be afraid or dismayed, for Adonai Elohim, my God, is with you. He will not fail you or forsake you until all the work for the Avodah of the house of Adonai is finished. Now behold, here are the divisions of the Kohanim and the Levites for all the Avodah of the house of God, and with you in all the work are willing men skilled in all types of tasks. Also the officials and all the people are at your command. Chapter 29. David commissions his son. Then King David said to the entire assembly, my son Solomon, the one whom God has chosen, is young and inexperienced, and the task is great, for the palace is not for man, but for Adonai Elohim. Now I have made every effort to prepare for the house of my God gold for the golden objects, silver for the silver, copper for copper, iron for iron, and wood for wood, onyx stones and inlay stones, stones of antimony and variegated colors, every kind of precious stones, and marble in abundance. Moreover, in my devotion to the house of my God, I have given over my private treasure of gold and silver to the house of my God, in addition to all that I have already supplied for the holy house. 3,000 gold talents of gold from Ophir, and 7,000 talents of refined silver to overlay the walls of the houses, gold for the golden objects, and silver for all the works into the hands of craftsmen. Who then will offer willingly, consecrating himself this day to Adonai? Then the leaders of the clans, the officials of the tribes of Israel, the commanders of thousands and hundreds, and the supervisors over the king's work contributed willingly. They gave for the service of the house of God 5,000 talents and 10,000 derricks of gold, 10,000 talents of silver, 18,000 talents of bronze, and 100,000 talents of iron. Whoever possessed stones gave them to the treasury of the house of Adonai in the care of Jehiel the Gershonite. Then the people rejoiced over their freewill offerings, because with a whole heart they offered willingly to Adonai. King David also rejoiced with great joy. David blessed Adonai before the whole congregation, saying, Blessed are you, Adonai, God of Israel, our Father, from eternity to eternity. Yours, Adonai, is the greatness, the power, and the splendor, and the victory, and the majesty, indeed everything in heaven and earth. Yours is the kingdom, Adonai, and you are exalted above all. Both riches and honor come from you. You rule over everything. In your hand is power and might. In your hand to magnify and give strength to all. Now, our God, we give you thanks and praise your glorious name. But who am I, and who are my people, that we should be able to offer so willingly as this? For everything comes from you, and from your hand we have given to you. For we are sojourners before you, mere transients like our fathers. Our days on the earth are like a shadow without security. Adonai Eloheinu, all this abundance that we have laid aside to build you a house for your holy name is from your hand. It all belongs to you. And that is true of everything on this earth. Everything belongs to Adonai, and he could take it at any time. He doesn't need it, but it all belongs to him. I know, my God, that you search the heart and take pleasure in uprightness. With integrity of heart, I have willingly offered all these things, and now I have seen with joy your people who are present here willingly contribute to you. Adonai, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers. Preserve forever such motives and thoughts in the heart of your people, and make their heart constant towards you. As for my son Solomon, give him a whole heart to keep your mitzvah, your decrees, and your statutes, and to fulfill them all, and to build a temple for which I have made provision. Then David said to the whole congregation, Now bless Adonai your God. So the whole congregation blessed Adonai, the God of their fathers. They bowed down and fell prostrate before Adonai and the king. Solomon acclaimed king. The next day they sacrificed sacrifices to Adonai and offered burnt offerings to Adonai, 1,000 bulls, 1,000 rams, and 1,000 lambs, along with their drink offerings and sacrifices in abundance for all Israel. So they ate and drank before Adonai on that day with great joy. Then they designated Solomon the son of David as king a second time, anointed him before Adonai as ruler, and Zadok as Kohen. So Solomon sat on the throne of Adonai as king instead of his father David. He prospered, and all Israel obeyed him. All the officials and mighty men, as well as all the sons of King David, pledged their hand in support of King Solomon. Adonai highly exalted Solomon in the sight of all Israel, and bestowed on him such royal majesty as had never been on any king before in Israel. Now David, son of Jesse, reigned over all Israel. The length of his reign over Israel was 40 years. He reigned in Hebron 7 years, and he reigned in Jerusalem 33 years. He died at a good old age, full of days, riches, and honor, and his son Solomon became king in his place. Now the acts of King David, the first and the last, behold, are written in the Chronicles of Samuel the seer, in the Chronicles of Nathan the prophet, and in the Chronicles of Gad the seer, together with all his reign, his power, and the events that involved him, Israel, and all the kingdoms of the lands. And that is the end of chapter 29 and the end of this week's Bible study, the chapters 21 and 20 through 29. So we are finished with First Chronicles. I'm going to pause it here, and we will come back for an altar call and close out this week's Bible study.